A single thought has the power to alter the very fabric of reality, not just in some abstract, wishful thinking way, but in a method so precise, so potent, that it was studied and documented by one of the most secretive organizations in the world. The same techniques used in esoteric rituals, ancient mystery schools, and occult traditions were quietly acknowledged in declassified government files. Buried within the archives of the CIA is a document that reveals something astonishing. It speaks of patterning, a method where the mind doesn't just imagine success, but projects it into the very structure of the universe, setting reality itself into motion. A technique so powerful that the document itself warns of its dangers, of forcing changes too quickly, of disrupting the equilibrium of your existence. But the deeper implication is even more shocking. Your mind, your very thoughts, have always been shaping your reality. You just weren't aware of how to control it. And that raises an unsettling question. If this knowledge is real, if the mind can mold reality like a sculptor shaping clay, then why isn't this common knowledge? Why is it hidden in a declassified file instead of being taught openly? Who benefits from keeping this information in the shadows? Today, we are going to pull back that curtain. We will explore the document itself, break down every hidden key it contains, and unravel the deeper esoteric truths that connect this method to the ancient wisdom of mystics, alchemists, and sages. And by the end, you will never see your thoughts the same way again. Because once you understand how reality truly works, nothing remains impossible. The document before us is one such text, a government file, once classified, now stripped of its secrecy, but not its power. These are not theories, not speculation. This is written proof that the mind is not merely an observer of reality, but its architect. It reads like this.
Patterning. This technique involves use of the consciousness to achieve desired objectives in the physical, emotional, or intellectual sphere. It involves concentration on the desired objective while in a focused 12 state, extension of the individual's perception of that objective into the whole expanded consciousness, and its projection into the universe with the intention that the desired objective is already a matter of established achievement, which is destined to be realized within the time frame specified.
Pause. Let the weight of those words settle. The mind, when properly focused, does not wish for an outcome. It declares it. It does not hope. It projects. And it does so in a way that integrates seamlessly into the fabric of existence itself. The document continues.
This particular methodology is based on the belief that the thought patterns generated by our consciousness in a state of expanded awareness create holograms which represent the situation we desire to bring about and, in so doing, establish the basis for actual realization of that goal.
A hologram, a structure made of thought, a blueprint in the unseen, waiting to crystallize into physical form. This idea is not new. It echoes through the teachings of ancient mystery schools, Hermetic philosophy, and quantum mechanics alike. But here it is, in black and white, hidden in plain sight.
Once the thought-generated hologram of the sought-after objective is established in the universe, it becomes an aspect of reality which interacts with the universal hologram to bring about the desired objective which might not, under other circumstances, ever occur.
The mind reaches beyond itself. It does not simply fantasize, it inserts new possibilities into the universal field, forcing reality to accommodate them. But then, the document offers a warning.
However, the more complicated the objective sought and the more radically it departs from our current reality, the more time the universal hologram will need to reorient our reality sphere to accommodate our desires.
In other words, the universe is always listening, but it works at its own pace. Try to force it, and you risk something far greater than failure.
Monroe trainers caution against attempting to force the pace of this process because the individual could succeed in dislocating his existing reality with drastic consequences.
Dislocating reality. Think about that for a moment. This document doesn't just claim that your mind can shape your destiny. It suggests that if you do it too forcefully, too recklessly, you can break the structure of your own existence. That reality is not as rigid as we were taught. It is malleable, delicate, subject to shifts that can be dangerous if not carefully controlled. And this is where the mystery deepens. Because if the mind has the power to sculpt the very foundation of what we experience, then the next question becomes, how do we use it? That's where we go next. Let's break this knowledge open. Let's connect the dots between this technique and the hidden wisdom of the ancient world. Because this is not just theory, this is the very fabric of creation itself. What we have just read is not mere speculation. It is a blueprint for creation itself. A technique so potent that even those who operate in the shadows, those who seek to control information, have acknowledged its power. But the deeper truth, this knowledge has existed long before it ever touched the pages of a government file. To understand the full depth of what this document is revealing, we must deconstruct it, layer by layer, and trace its roots back to the ancient teachings of the mystics, the initiates, the sages who understood the true nature of reality. Let's start with the core principle. Consciousness is the source of all reality. This is not a new idea. It is the very foundation of Hermeticism, Gnosticism, Eastern mysticism, and even quantum physics. The Kybalion states, "The all is mind, the universe is mental." In the Upanishads we read, "As a man thinks, so he becomes." And modern physics? The observer effect in quantum mechanics suggests that the act of observation itself alters reality. The document calls this process patterning, the ability to impress an image upon the formless fabric of existence, to give structure to the unseen. This is precisely what Tibetan monks have practiced for centuries with tulpas, mental constructs so vividly imagined, so imbued with intent, that they take on an independent existence. It is what ceremonial magicians have done through sigil work, embedding a desire into the subconscious so that it manifests externally. And yet, this document goes further. It suggests that when in a heightened state of awareness, a focus 12 state, this process is amplified. This is reminiscent of trance states in ancient mystery schools, where initiates were taught that reality was a construct and could be manipulated through focused will. The Pythagoreans, the Essenes, the Egyptian priesthood, all of them understood that the mind, when sharpened and attuned, could bend the flow of events. Then, the document introduces the concept of holograms, suggesting that thoughts create energetic blueprints that interact with the universal hologram to shape physical reality. Again, this is not a new concept. Mystical traditions have long described the universe as a projection of consciousness, an illusion, a dream sustained by the interplay of perception and energy. Hinduism refers to it as Maya, the illusory nature of existence. The Gnostic texts speak of a fabricated reality, one that can be reshaped once we realize its malleability. But modern science has also stumbled upon this truth. The holographic principle, a theory proposed by physicists like David Bohm, suggests that the universe itself behaves like a vast hologram, where each fragment contains the whole, and where reality as we perceive it is a projection of deeper, unseen structures. What this document is describing is nothing less than the act of creation itself, the ability to form, manipulate, and imprint new realities upon the greater field of existence. But then, it gives a warning. The more complicated the objective, and the more radically it departs from our current reality, the more time the universal hologram will need to reorient our reality sphere to accommodate our desires. This is key. It is a reminder of the natural rhythm of manifestation. Even the greatest magicians, sages, and visionaries knew that reality does not shift instantaneously. It bends, it rearranges, it unfolds in accordance with cosmic law. This is why those who understand the esoteric arts stress patience, alignment, and faith. Rushing the process, attempting to force a reality shift beyond what the universal matrix can handle, leads to disruptions, and, as the document warns, dislocation of one's existing reality with drastic consequences. In occult traditions, there are countless warnings about imbalanced manifestation. The alchemists knew that transformation must be gradual. Too much energy forced into a new state too quickly could cause destruction rather than creation. The Kabbalists spoke of the dangers of receiving too much light without the proper vessel to contain it. Even in Taoism, forcing one's will against the natural current leads to disharmony and collapse. This document validates those teachings. It acknowledges that the mind is not just a spectator, it is a participant in the unfolding of reality. But it must be disciplined, refined, attuned to the natural flow. Now step back for a moment and ask yourself, if the mind can shape reality, if consciousness is the architect of the universe, if governments have studied and understood this, why is this knowledge not widely known? The answer is simple. A world where individuals understand the true power of their minds is a world that cannot be controlled. If reality is malleable, if your thoughts, your focused will, can sculpt the future, then the entire structure of control, governments, media, societal programming, loses its power over you. The moment you accept that your mind is the source, you step outside the boundaries they have created. This is why mystical teachings were hidden behind symbols, veiled in allegory, guarded in secret societies. It is why those who mastered these truths, alchemists, sages, visionaries, were often silenced or ridiculed. But now, in a declassified document, the truth has surfaced again. So what do we do with it? How do we apply this knowledge in a way that transforms our lives without destabilizing our reality? That is where we go next, because now it's time to move beyond theory. It's time to use this power deliberately, wisely, and with precision. Now that we've uncovered the truth, that consciousness is the architect of reality, that thoughts generate holographic imprints in the fabric of the universe, that this knowledge has been both hidden and weaponized, the real question remains, how do we use it? Because knowing is not enough. Information without application is like a key never placed into a lock. The real power is in doing. But this is where most people fail. They hear about manifestation, about the law of attraction, about the mind's ability to shape reality, and they assume it works like a wish-granting machine. They think, I'll just imagine a perfect life, and it will appear. But the universal hologram does not respond to fleeting desires or shallow affirmations. It responds to intensity, consistency, and alignment. This is why patterning, as described in the document, is so precise. It requires more than daydreaming. It demands a specific process, a sequence of conscious control, energetic expansion, and universal alignment. First, you must enter the state of expanded consciousness known as Focus 12. The document emphasizes this step because it is the threshold between ordinary thought and direct influence over reality. This is the state where consciousness expands beyond the physical, where perception is no longer bound by the limitations of the body. Ancient mystics knew this well. Shamans induced this state through rhythmic drumming and breathwork. Hermetic initiates accessed it through deep meditation and mental transmutation. Sufi mystics reached it through ecstatic movement. This is the realm where you are no longer just a person thinking. You are a being projecting into the vast field of existence itself. To reach this state, the mind must withdraw from the external world. Breath must slow, the senses must detach, and awareness must turn inward. Instead of focusing on the body, you must feel yourself expanding outward, dissolving into a field of energy. The mind must quiet itself because chaos within will manifest as chaos without. Patterning requires precision, and precision is impossible without stillness. Once this expanded state is achieved, The next step is forming the thought hologram with absolute clarity. This is where most people go wrong. They focus on wanting something, but wanting only reinforces the idea that it is absent. The document makes it clear. The desired outcome must be experienced as if it has already been achieved. The hologram must be formed not as a wish, but as a completed reality. If the goal is success, you must not just desire it, you must see yourself living it. If the goal is love, you must not long for it. You must feel yourself already existing in a world where it is present. If the goal is wealth, you must embody the energy of a person who already possesses it. The mind does not manifest vague ideas. It manifests fully structured blueprints. But thought alone is not enough. The hologram must be complete in all senses. It must have color, texture, sound, movement. The nervous system must experience it so vividly that it can no longer distinguish between imagination and reality. This is why ancient mystery schools trained their initiates in visualization, trance work, and sensory projection, because the universe does not respond to empty words. It responds to deeply imprinted structures of consciousness. Once the thought hologram is formed, it must be projected into the universal field. This is the true act of creation. The document makes it clear that the hologram must be launched with intensity, as a force that embeds itself into the greater matrix of reality. This is where most fail. They think about their desire, but they do not project it. They hold on to it with hesitation, weakening its imprint. True manifestation requires a release, an energetic launching of the thought into the infinite. Those who master this art do not wish, they do not beg, they do not plead with the universe. They imprint their will upon reality, and then they step back and allow it to unfold. And this is where the greatest mistake can be made, trying to force the pace of change. The document warns against this, because reality must reorient itself in accordance with the new pattern. If the shift is too abrupt, the result can be destabilizing. This is why transformation must be integrated gradually. Those who master this practice do not resist the shifts that occur afterward. They move with them. If a new opportunity arises, they recognize it as the path unfolding. If old circumstances begin to fall away, they do not fight to hold on to them. They understand that when consciousness changes, reality must change to match it. The final truth is that one projection is not enough. The universal hologram does not simply reshape itself instantly. It must be reinforced, imprinted repeatedly until the new structure becomes dominant. Every time you enter the expanded state, every time you project the thought hologram, every time you act as though the shift has already taken place, you strengthen the process. This is why the ancient masters did not perform a single ritual and expect results. They repeated, they reinforced, they made the unseen more real than the seen, until the seen had no choice but to conform. This is not a game. This is not a fantasy. This is real. The CIA did not study these techniques for entertainment. The ancients did not encode them in sacred texts for amusement. This knowledge has been obscured because it is the greatest power a human can wield. And now, you hold it in your hands. The only question left is, what will you create? If this content resonated with you and you dare to try this powerful technique, you might want to know this. There's a method to enter a state in which you can facilitate this entire process. Click the next video on your screen, and you will conquer the patterning method within days. Thank you for watching.